Hello, I'm Corey,
I'm Kelly.
and we are unleashed.
We're getting that way. Yeah, we
Working
are.
on it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm talking. So, yeah, I love living in the now. We'll just start off with that. I'm having a good day, being present. I've thought
too.
a lot about, and I don't dwell on the past or stay there, but I mean, being in recovery and having gone through addiction and everything, I wanted to, our last video, I just listened to it and I was thinking, how can we relate to addicts with that mentality? Like, we're kind of like on a different in a different place than the addict mind and the addict behavior. And it's like, oh, well, they don't get it. They've never been there. And I don't want to come across, I've got all the terms. I was sitting in a meeting the other day and somebody saying, the first time I read the book, the big book, it made no sense to me. And me being a highly intellectual addict, it just made all the sense to me. Hence 20 years of relapsing while in the program. I mean, I got it from the get-go. I read it 5 times and I had the program down pat.
Right.
Anyway, I don't want to sound grandiose. I don't want to minimize. I'll throw a couple terms in there. I'm just a common run-of-the-mill addict. I've had some pretty serious addicts tell me that they don't know how I've survived because I did way more than they could ever imagine doing. And I know a lot of people have done way more than I have. So comparing myself to anybody, it's not the point. I just want to say that I've done enough of just about everything to say that I understand the drug addict mind, and I understand the process of recovery, and I understand that we get on here and we talk about these things that we're practicing, and it doesn't mean that I don't still go through things that a person in recovery goes through, like a crash, where your brain, it's like, what is wrong with me? I've been clean for X amount of time. Why am I feeling this way? My brain should be recovering. Well, I'm having a crash. My brain is just depleted of all my serotonin and dopamine and good feelings. And it's so important for me to understand what's going on. Like, why am I feeling this way? I'm doing all this work. Why am I feeling this way? And understanding the why behind it really helps a person that's in recovery get through it. To know that this is not going to last forever. It might feel like forever. It's been a year. It's been 2 years. Well, crashes can happen years after. Post-acute withdrawal syndrome, pause, it's a real thing. Especially for people out there, stimulants, opiates. I mean, your brain goes through some kind of memory where it says, I don't need to produce this because I'm about to get it from an external source. Because we think something or we come across something in our environment, we have a trigger, whatever. Something shuts our brain down because our brain thinks it's coming, and then it doesn't come. If that makes sense. It's recovery is great. I had somebody ask me, how can you get on there and share this stuff with the world? And this person knows me really well, knows I'm not perfect, like everybody. But it's like, if I keep all this to myself, I don't think I'll continue doing what I'm doing. If I don't continue doing the things that are working, doing everything different, changing everything, then I want to keep doing what's working. And I want to keep learning. And I don't want to separate myself from the people that I'm part of by getting on here and saying, live in the now, be present, meditate. All these things work. I can be completely depressed, sit down, do some really good Bondo work, some work on chakras, do yoga breathing, and actually it can be mental. It might be placebo, I don't know, but I can feel like my breathing pulling serotonin out of my brain, pulling the dopamine out through. And like I said, who cares if it's real or not? I feel it, so it's real. Whether it's placebo or not, I feel it, and it's real to me. And maybe it's just God working in my life, saying everything's going to be okay. But I know that practicing what we talk about doesn't mean everything's perfect in my life. But it does mean that there is a process and there is a way to stay present and know that it's all going to be okay. Continuing to just give it to Jesus, put it in God's hands. And I don't have to be perfect. I love that. I love knowing God accepts me completely imperfect today.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shared yesterday some little thing that someone shared about addiction, about just drug addicts and also the family members who are dealing with drug addicts, and just that it's, I can't remember exactly what it said, but that it just impacts everybody's lives that we come in contact with, whenever we're in addiction, and people who are addicts. And I had a comment on that post, and she was saying that, it just destroys families. She's just having a difficult time with someone in her family who is an addict, and she's lost her children, she's lost her home, she's just lost everything. And I can so understand, I can so relate. I know I've been there, like living with an addict, being an addict, having the codependency, having family members. I feel like we were like born into a family of addiction. And I think that a lot of us are. Truly, being born into this world at this time, that it is just, there's so many different kinds of addictions in this world today. There's just so many distractions that's just pulling us away from truly what is most important. And I think that we're all truly addicts of something unless we're intentionally and mindfully working on putting God first. Something else is first in our life if God is not first, and that is our addiction. That is what our mind is consumed with, whether it's people, places, things, like whatever. We all have it. And yesterday I was sitting and just kind of meditating on that, like what is truly most important in my life today. And I'm so grateful that I could sit there and recognize for myself that God really truly is most important in my life today, and Jesus Christ really truly is the most important thing in my life today. Now 3, 5, 10, like the whole rest of my life, I would sit down and I would say, what is the most important thing in my life? And I would have, God number one. Like that is what I've always been striving to make the most important thing in my life. It would be God. And then it would be my husband. Well, me, like God and me needs to be number one. And then my husband and my children and my family and my friends. And, we just have this list of like most important people, in our lives. And I just realized for my whole life, I've just been trying to make it fit, trying to control it, trying to make it what I've always wanted it to be. And it's so incredible because it's all in the surrendering of it. It's all in surrendering myself to God. It's surrendering all of my family members to God. It's just surrendering my day, surrendering everything over. And it's in the surrender that we find he brings us to all of those things that are most important. It really is truly amazing. And as we are in this recovery, the most important things is him, surrendering to him. And then it's our physical body, our emotional, mental body. It's our spirit. And as we're doing those things for ourselves daily, and it is a daily thing, if I go on vacation somewhere and I just take time off from that, as addicts, we really need the routine. We really need to consistently stay in those things that ground us, that keep us connected to him. No matter where we are, we just need to take that time to sit still with him, even if it is 5 minutes in the bathroom. Whatever it is, we've got to keep those things consistent in our lives. Because it's so easy. It is so easy as addicts to get sucked back in so fast. So many times in my life, I have been doing really great, feeling like I'm doing all the things that are right, and something would happen and it would suck me back in so fast. It's just amazing.
Yeah, if I go on vacation or if I go somewhere else, I better bring me with me.
Yeah.
Because if I go there by myself, I know who I am when I'm by myself. And I spent most of my life as that addict that I'm going to change locations. I'm going to go be a different person in Idaho. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go be a different person in here or there. It's like everywhere I went, there I was. It's like I don't go somewhere to find God.
Right.
It's...
we sit still to find him.
Yeah, and... Also, just semantics wise, I think it's important to realize that I didn't lose anything in my addiction. I didn't lose anything. I gave away a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those things I am being given back, But I didn't, it's like I can't go look for it. Where'd I put it? I didn't lose anything. And that's just the way I find it important to talk to myself in a certain way. Mm-hmm. I definitely gave away a lot, and a lot of things are coming back into my life. Driving my kids around. I was looking at my journal, and it's like 6-7 months ago or less. I don't even know. Time is just so elusive, but I wasn't driving my kids anywhere. I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. Like a little kid being punished, and that's not what it was. I put myself in a place where I wasn't capable of doing things that a normal adult does. And going on vacation, it's important that I keep my routine, that I am, no matter where I am, I'm still doing the things that I do. And some people don't understand that. When I go out to Minnesota even, it's like, well, what's Corey going to do? Well, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to sit in my room and meditate. Well, why do you have to go in there and do it? Why you got to be alone? It's like, well, it's just kind of how I do things. And it's how it's possible that I'm here.
Right.
And if I don't maintain it while I'm here, well, I'm going to go. It's just, I have to do it right now. I have to do the things that I do. I want to do the things that I do so that I continue feeling the way I feel, even when I have a crash, when my brain isn't functioning right. I can still feel peace. I can feel serenity, and I can know that it's all going to be okay. Even when my brain's telling me otherwise, that there's only one fix. There's only one way to feel good. It's just something that's been on my mind.
Yeah, our brains are really interesting because after living for almost 50 years, both of us, our thinking really gets stuck in certain ways. and we have just certain recordings in our mind that we're just used to, and it takes time. It really takes time to get to a point where we can recognize, oh wait, I don't even have to think that anymore. That is an old thought. That is not doing anything good for me. So why am I even thinking that?
Not even mine.
And that's when meditation really, it has shown me my thoughts, my incorrect thoughts that are just keeping me sick. And I'm like, I don't have to think that. And it's so freeing whenever I recognize that. I'm like, oh, and then you just stop and it's like, and it's gone. That's what's so amazing is like the moment that we see it, we can just let it go and it's just not there anymore. It really is amazing to me.
Yeah, and a lot of those thoughts really aren't ours.
They're not.
They're, like you've mentioned before, they're magnets that have been placed on us through our lives. And I have a lot of thoughts that I won't even share that are just my own. They're just things that I feel and know for myself that work for me that might not work for somebody else, you know? But feeling like I have to be perfect to receive all that God has for me, well, that defeats the whole purpose of mortality. We're sent here in a fallen state. We are sent here imperfect. We are sent here to be imperfect.
Yeah, we're not sent here imperfect.
No. Babies are perfect. Yes, we fall. We do something.
We're just taught. We're in a fallen world. Yeah. It just is what it is. Yeah.
Well, however it is, it is. I'm imperfect.
Yeah.
And God's not waiting for me to be perfect to give me peace.
No.
And to give me a good life and to give me a feeling of connection with Him. All He wants is our heart. And all He wants is for us to just love ourselves, love Him, love others. And it's that simple. I mean, religion wants to make it so difficult. Like I have to achieve certain things to be worthy of something that's given to everyone freely. And I know we just said this, and I say this a lot. We just said that. But it's just so simple. Religion, and I'm not talking bad about religion because I love my religion that I confess. I mean, I love going where I go and doing what I do. But Jesus made it very simple. And I don't know how, it's just so easy I'm not going to say it's easy, but it is so simple. Love God and love yourself as you love your neighbor. Everything else is great. I mean, I'm happy that we can do things, that we have these healthy bodies, and that we're able to share in the world that we have today. We're able to connect with just about anybody. But I mean, it's very simple. And we want to complicate it, and we want to listen to the Sadducees and Pharisees that want to create all these rules that get us to heaven. It's just not what Jesus taught. Still got a lot to do because I want to. But as we said, there's nothing we can do because it's all been done.
The doing, all of the doing, I'm coming to really understand and learn that they're just tools to help us to connect to Jesus, to help us connect to God. They're not there they're not God, they're not Jesus, but they are tools and they're good. They can be good if we use them correctly. But if we use them as benchmarks to make ourselves feel good, like we're doing good, we're doing something, it's all about us. It's that self-righteousness that we've talked about before. That's where I've been lost in a lot of my life. And that's why I can talk about it because I've been it. I know it. I understand it. I can look at my past and I can see it so clearly. And that's not to say that I was blind. I did not know. I did not see. I served, and I loved, and I was, however I was, I can just look back and just have compassion with myself and just
Good
recognize I did the best that I knew with the knowledge that I had. But today, as I have come to really just connect with God and surrender to Him, I mean, surrendering to God has brought me to Jesus Christ, truly, to truly feel Him and know Him in my heart in a way that I just never have in the past. And I really thought I knew Jesus. I really did. I have felt Him. I've always had Him in my life, but just not in the way that I do today. And it's because I went through a little time where I didn't even read my scriptures. I was listening to this guy, and he was talking about, if you're reading your scriptures and all you're reading and all you're hearing is the condemnation and how evil you are and how bad you are, he's like, maybe you need to step away from your scriptures for a time. And I was like, oh. It's like, that is, every time I open my scriptures, I feel horrible. I feel bad. And it's like, that's not what God wants for us. He wants to uplift us and edify us and help us to feel closer to Him. And it was not good. And so I actually stepped away from reading my scriptures every day. Now, someone in church would say, don't ever stop reading your scriptures, and you got to read your scriptures every single day. But for me, I needed to step away from it so that I could recognize I had an unhealthy relationship with my scriptures. And whenever I got back into my scriptures, like today, they feed my soul. Today, I see differently. I hear differently because my relationship with God is different. My relationship with Jesus Christ is different. I was in a completely different, unhealthy way of thinking and being, and I projected that into the Word of God. And I know it's really amazing that the things that are there, like I said, that are tools that are there to help us to connect with God and to be closer to Him, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're keeping us from Him.
You're seeking damnation instead of seeking salvation.
Yeah.
It's like that's what we're looking for. Where am I going wrong? Oh, well, that scripture teaches damnation, and it's where our mind is myopic.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It was very interesting.
Yeah, God just wants us to feel peace. And that doesn't mean that it's just always gonna be here. But if we seek it, it's available for us. I love the fact that I know, for me, my brain is healing. My brain is rewiring itself. My body is just growing and changing so much. And it's not because I'm doing things perfectly. It's not because I'm doing things better than anybody else. But one thing that I do is I believe that my brain can be better than it's ever been. I believe that I can remember things, and that, I have a belief in the power of believing. It's just that simple. I love the power of the mind. I love the power of the atonement and the way that it can literally transform our lives. I don't have to see some things to really know in my heart that they exist. And we talked about knowing and believing, and there is a big difference, but there's a lot of things that I do know that are for me to know, that have been given to me, just like anybody in the world can receive personal revelation for themselves on what's best for them. That doesn't mean it's what's best for me. God knows what we all need. And the wonderful thing is everybody has access to the same guidance that I do, Kelly does, that anybody has access to know what is best for them. You just got to ask. And humility is a great part of it,
Being teachable.
Being teachable. Having that heart that's saying, I can't do this alone. I want to know if something is good for me. And You got to try it out. You got to taste it. You got to say, God, I want to know if this is good for me. And the Spirit, I call the Holy Ghost, whatever a person wants to call it, it can testify to your heart that it's something that's good for you. And I've had that experience in many things in my life where I know that something's good for me. I know that the scriptures are good for me. And I'm not just talking about Christianity. I mean, there are a lot of good writings out there, that are just good for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to Kelly recently saying people really must think we're crazy, some of the ideas that we have, but they work for me.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
And they strengthen nothing that I learn about philosophy and other beliefs takes anything away from my testimony of Jesus Christ. It all strengthens it, all the energy and chakra work, and it just helps me know, it helps me understand exactly who Jesus Christ is.
Talking about too, like healing our bodies and stuff, our spirit is so much stronger. I mean, it's stronger than our body. Our spirit, we came here with knowledge that we just don't remember. There is a veil, but our spirit knows. And when we're connected to the Spirit in that way, we can receive that information, like you were just saying, and we can feel it. And I'm a witness of that as well. Like, I know. And sitting in meditation and having the intention, like thinking, breathing, bringing healing into our bodies, bringing it into our minds, just thinking about light and just that God is all powerful. He can heal us. He can heal anything. I do also recognize that in this life, there are things that we will not be healed of, because it is part of our experience. It is part of our growth. Like Paul in the scriptures, talks about, that thorn in his side that he kept praying to get rid of, but he just realized that it is there to help him to be humble, to help him to realize that Jesus Christ is our strength, that God is our strength, that we can still have this thorn in our flesh. We can have these mortal experiences, but our spirit is so much stronger than them. And we can get to a point where we are stronger than our body, and we can handle it because we're giving it over to God. We're giving it over to Jesus. And every day as we wake up and we're just surrendering whatever it is going on in our life, he helps us. He guides us to the things that's going to help us, whether it's like vitamins or minerals or a certain doctor or talking to a certain person at the store. Or it's just amazing the way that he brings people into our lives. And when we have the eyes to hear, the eyes to see, and the ears to hear, and we're willing, and we're searching, and we're seeking, and we're looking for the answers, he brings them into our lives in so many miraculous ways. We could just be sitting outside watching a bird, and all of a sudden this bird will do something that will trigger a thought, and it'll just bring understanding into our minds. Or standing at the grocery store. There's just so many different ways that God speaks to us, and it's, if we are listening and seeking and searching, he's gonna help us, especially as addicts who are in recovery, and we want to be better. Everything within us just wants to heal and be well. That's what he wants for us. And so he's going to help us. He is. And he's going to bring that peace to our hearts and to our minds on those days that we wake up and we feel depressed. We wake up and we feel aggravated, or we've got anger coming up, or we're triggered by something. It's just part of recovery. It's part of realizing and recognizing that we are addicts because we have stuff within us that we have tried to numb, that we've tried to repress, deny, minimize, all that kind of stuff. We have worked so hard in our addiction our whole lives to not feel all this stuff. And so as we're in recovery, these things are going to come up, and we're going to have to sit with them and allow them and let them pass. And what's so beautiful is the further into recovery that we get, it just doesn't happen. It's not all the time. It's just, it comes up every once in a while. And it's like, and we learn how to handle it better. We just learn how to cope with life better. And it's really in the surrendering. As we practice surrendering every day, it's like, oh, things just aren't really a big deal. Like truly, whenever we put God first, and for me, Jesus Christ and the Holy Ghost, whenever I put them first and foremost in my life, everything else is secondary to that. And you just realize that so many things just really don't matter, and the insignificant things just fall away. And through the Spirit, they help us to know how to handle stuff. And a lot of times it is by not handling it at all. It's by just allowing other people to just have their own experience and just be a support, be a space, just love. It gives us so many opportunities. Life just gives us so many opportunities to practice being love. Whenever our eyes are just focused on God, everything else is just practice and just being more like Him.
Yeah, life can really suck when you put importance on things that really don't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I have those moments where I'm like, man, I don't provide enough. It's like, but dude, I do everything I can.
Right.
And I do everything that God has given me to be able to do. Like, I'm alive. That fact alone is miraculous.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, what is enough? Like,
what is
this mind? And it's a
and
mind
that is. No matter if you think that way, where you're at, whenever you get to wherever you think is going to be the place where you're doing enough, you're still going to be thinking, man, I don't do enough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I should be doing this and that. It's like, no, right now I am where I'm supposed to be. And if I get where I get in my mind, that would be great. Well, if I'm already doing great here, well, then it's going to be great when I get there, because it's just great. Everything's good. Yeah, and I mean, my eyes do hear a lot.
You're right, yeah.
We'd be amazed at how much our eyes really do hear.
You're right.
Yeah, it's a crazy thought of mine. But when you said that, it definitely stood out.
I know, right?
Step into my psychedelic world.
All right.
No, it is, you know, speaking of, there is no shortcut to God.
Mm-mm.
There is no shortcut to open that door up. You know, I'm going to go take something and I'm going to have this experience and connect with God. I get it. Been there, done that, but it's very fleeting, very passing.
Right.
There is
You
no
always have to
short.
do it again.
There is no shortcut to God, but there is an immediate. Right now, that you can have that connection with God. So there's no shortcut, but you have access right now to it, and it's not through a substance. It's not through something that I take and put in my body. It's something that I allow. It's something that I
just receive,
let go. I let go of something instead of take something. I give something, and that's when I receive. It's not when I take something that I get something. It's just another law of the universe, the law of abundance. Give it away, that power, that will, that I'm going to win, I'm going to do this. Give it away, and God is there. He's just waiting for us to stop trying to be in control of it all. I don't know how much I'm rambling today. I know I rambled on the last one, but Yeah, when I listened to that, I just wanted addicts out there to know that, it's not like we get on here and everything's perfect in our lives. But
no, at all.
We can have serenity in the middle of life and understand that this is the purpose of life. And we can have joy amongst it all. In all the chaos and all the craziness, we can still experience joy. We can still experience serenity, peace, happiness, because we can feel God, and He is all that. He is love.
I think that's good.
It's another beautiful day.
I think we say that on every video too. But it is. I mean, every day really is. It just is. And I love it.
And I can make it really crazy really quick by just
absolutely.
Getting lost in the future and the past.
Yeah.
As long as I'm right here, seems like God seems to be with me.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.